Hello and welcome to Query, the show that demystifies the crazy things that are happening in our world today. I'm Kent, and in today's episode, we will discuss the ins and outs of QAnon, the far right pro Trump conspiracy theory that believes Trump was in a secret war against a cabal of pedophile Satanists in Hollywood and the Democratic Party. Be sure to listen all the way through for the details. Our guest for today is Mr. Utko Bozdag, a journalist researcher from the Reuters Institute for the Study of Journalism. Again, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Now, let's dive in this. So QAnon sounds nuts after being here for 2 years already. And I think it's important to dismantle the name QAnon for our listeners. And so what exactly does it mean? And who is Q?
QAnon has actually a very interesting story. In October 2017, an anonymous user puts a series of posts on the message board called 4chan. 4chan, 8chan, Reddit, these kind of message boards are famous for hosting variety of far-right groups and conspiracy theories, especially 4chan. And the QAnon has also started on this message board. So first, a user called Q claimed to have a level of US security approval known as Q clearance. What is it? Simply, Q clearance means that someone has access to top secret documents in US Department of Energy. And this user claimed to have this Q clearance and started to post about secret information he get from this US Department of Energy. And interestingly, his first post said that Hillary Clinton was about to be arrested, which would cause massive unrest and be followed by numerous other arrests. And in a couple of hours later, he shared the second message and said that Clinton was being detained, though not arrested yet, and that Trump was planning to remove criminal rogue elements. So, in other words, he claimed that there was a deep state, Hillary Clinton was the head of this deep state, and Trump was waging war against this deep state. And later on, actually, many other messages followed, but Q's activity surged in November, with most posts expanding upon previous theories about Hillary Clinton. There were other conspiracy theories that he shared about Barack Obama, Saudi Arabia, Iran, George Soros, and in a very short time, an internet community developed around interpreting and analyzing posts attributed to Q, and several of these conspiracy theories became minor celebrities within the community. And basically, followers of Q started looking for clues that would confirm their beliefs, including in the most commonplace phrases and occurrences. One of the most notable examples of that is Trump was sipping water from a bottle in November 2017, and they interpreted this sipping water as a sign that the mass arrests would soon take place. So, in conclusion, what I mean is that QAnon followers believe in basically that a cabal of Satan worshipping pedophiles, including high ranking Democrats, have long controlled the so called deep state government in the US, and the President Trump was launching a war against this secret deep state.
Crazy. So this was spurred by former President Trump's false allegations of widespread fraud in the 2020 election that he lost to President Biden. So it's curious, how did QAnon jump from online to the real world?
That's a very good question, actually. During his time in office, President Trump was cast as the hero in the bizarre QAnon fable, with followers claiming he was waging a secret war against the cabal and was the only person standing in their way. So, because of that, it is possible to say QAnon first showed up physically in real world in Trump's rallies. Later on, several QAnon believers have been arrested after making threats or taking offline action In one notable case in 2018, a heavily armed man blocked a bridge in Dallas, if I remember correctly, the place. Especially their presence made a peak during the COVID lockdowns, and finally with U.S. Capitol riots last year, because as you remember, the riots in the U.S. Capitol, QAnon played a tremendous role, because when the U.S. Capitol was basically invaded by this mob, they were at least 2,000 to 2,500 supporters of U.S. President Donald Trump, who also has one way or another has connection to QAnon. So especially you remember that the QAnon shaman became the face of this riot. So until this riot, basically more than 80% of Americans said that they know nothing about QAnon, but one way or another, they always shared the misinformation spreaded by QAnon. So we can say that actually QAnon jumped from virtual space to reality, beginning with Trump's rallies.
So, okay, I have to ask this. I know that you've been asked this a lot of times, but what are some of the other wacky ideas QAnon followers believe?
That's a very good question. There are many examples that I can give you. Um, well, QAnon followers actually embraced many different kind of conspiracy theories, including that Democrats drink the blood of children, President Joe Biden actually being a malfunctioning robot disguised as a human. These are the two very simple examples that I can give you right now. Um, One of the most famous conspiracy theories, Pizzagate scandal. This conspiracy theory is also one of the core beliefs of QAnon supporters, that actually people order children for abusement from this famous pizza places. But actually, I will give you a very interesting and very weird, crazy example about how their belief about President John Kennedy. So simply, QAnon believes that actually John Kennedy faked his death and that he is the Q. So even in 2021, in Dallas, they actually gathered in the site of President Kennedy's assassination, and they believed that they would witness the return of President Kennedy. So they basically think that Kennedy would come back from that, and Trump would reinstate it as a president, and later on Trump would step down to allow Kennedy to become a president. So President Kennedy has a very interesting, a special place in QAnon's theories. They also believe in this famous reptilian conspiracy theory that the world is governed by a reptilian race. For example, Barack Obama was one of this person they claimed to be indeed a reptilian creature. Another, of course, very interesting and very famous example is that they believe that actually big pharma companies operate for sinister purposes and against the public good, because they think that pharma companies conceal the effective treatments, and they even cause and worsen many different kinds of diseases only to profit, only for the profit purposes. So there are many different kind of conspiracy theories that QAnon believers follow, but in the center of their idea, this, as you explained previously, that they believe that there's a deep state and Hillary Clinton is the head of this deep state, and Trump was waging war against her. This is the only theory that QAnon believers follow. But the rest of the other conspiracy theories that I mentioned, only to a certain extent, they are favorable among QAnon followers.
It's actually sound crazy and ridiculous. And we can dissect more on it next time, but I'm afraid that's all the time we had for today, folks. And we'd like to thank Mr. Bozdag for gracing our show. So I guess to wrap up, here are a few takeaways from this episode. I think that when you demystify something, it takes away its power. And I think that the truth matters. I think that it's important to reveal the forces behind the operation because they have a pretty passionate community. I suspect that it will evolve and it will splinter into factions, but I think Q, as we knew it, will not remain. I know it's not going to be an easy path going forward, but I think that we're already starting to see that people are discussing this beyond the confines of message boards. So to me, that's the most positive outcome I've seen so far, and I hope it continues. If you are hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We hope you enjoyed this new episode, and if you did, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, feel free to let us know what topics you'd like to see covered in future episodes. Get in touch in the comments or on Query social media networks. See you next week for a new episode.